That includes things like move, copy and mirror, using construction lines to place objects accurately, changing properties of elements in drawings, and measuring areas, lengths, volumes and radiuses without placing dimensions. So the first thing we'll be covering is modify tools. Now all the modify tools are placed within the Home tab under the modify group, as you can see here. You can see a brief description of each item by hovering your mouse over it. And you see this will pop up showing you what each item does. So you can hover over move, I can hover over mirror, and it will show me what each does and the command for it. So the first tool we're going to cover is the move tool. And I'm going to demonstrate this using exercise 1 in the handout. So first, I'm going to draw the rectangle. So I'll click anywhere in my drawing space after clicking the rectangle tool. And I'll type 50, 30. Then I will go to the circle tool. Click on the snap point in the top right corner, then type the radius, which is 20. And now I want to move this, so I will select the circle, click on the move tool, and you see it's asking me to specify the base point. This is where you're picking it up from. In this case, it's the center, so I'll click in the center of the circle, and you see then it's moving it from that base point. So I can then click in the top left corner, and you see it's now moved it to the top left corner of the rectangle. If we want to move it to the center, what we'll do is we'll go down to Object Snap, we'll ensure Geometric Center is on, select the circle again and go to Move, click in the center of the circle, and you see now I've got a snap point for the center of the rectangle. So I'll click there, and that's now in the center. So the next tool we'll be using is the Copy tool, which is pretty much the same as the Move tool, but it makes copies. So you select an object, you click Copy, select the point you want to pick it up from, and click where you want to copy it to. So I can make multiple copies by clicking in different places, and when I'm done, I can press enter. And that's all the copy tool does. So the next tool we're going to cover is the trim tool. This allows you to trim lines and take away parts of objects you don't want. Okay, so I'll demonstrate it on the object we've just drawn. I will go to the trim tool, and then I will just press enter. And this will select everything. And then if I put my mouse over certain areas, you see it shows what they would look like if a part was removed. So if I was to click, say, inside the rectangle, and click on all the different parts, you see I can trim away the parts of the circle where they contact the rectangle. Okay, and when I'm done, I can just press enter. So we will then do exercise 3. So I'll move this along. And I'll draw another rectangle, this time 50 by 50. So I'm going to type 50, 50 and press enter. And then I'm going to draw 2 circles at the top and the bottom. Okay, now you could use the midpoint snap, and then just go across like this to the end to draw them. But another option is to go to little arrow below circle, select 2 point, then click from the left end point to right end point to fit a circle, which is much easier. Okay. So we're now going to trim this. So again, we're going to trim it to look like the image shown in exercise 3. I'm going to click trim. I press enter to select everything as my cutting surface. And I'm going to cut this line, this one here, this one down here, and this one here. And then press enter. And you see we've now got the shape shown in exercise 3. So the next tool we use is the offset tool. Okay, and what offset tool allows us to do, it allows us to create a second object to specify a distance from a first one. Okay, so if I go to the offset tool here and click it, I can say a certain distance, so I can specify a certain distance, so I could say 5 and press enter. And then say for example this rectangle, I can click it. If I place my mouse outside of the rectangle, it will offset 5 outside. If I put it inside, it would offset 5 inside. Okay? So what we're going to do is draw exercise 4. So again, I'm going to use the rectangle tool to draw a 50 by 50 square, just as we did before. And I'm going to offset the square outside by a distance of 5. So I'm going to offset outside the distance, which is 5, and press enter. I'll click the square and I'll put my mouse on the outside of the shape and click to set the offset, okay? When you're done, press enter to exit the tool. The next modifying tool that we'll use is the fillet tool, and the fillet tool connects two lines smoothly with a curve of a given radius, okay? So we can take a sharp corner of a rectangle and we can make it into a rounded corner. Now, to do that, we'll click fillet, and we have to type the radius first. So we're going to type R and press enter to specify the radius, and you see it's asking me for the radius. So I could type in, for example, 5, and then press enter. And now it's asking me to select the first line. So I'll select this line, and then the second line, and you see it shows me a preview. If I click, it's done, okay? So we'll do exercise 5. So I'll go to the rectangle tool once more. I will type 50, 30 again, and press enter. And now I need to fillet this rectangle, the distances that it says on the handout. So I'll go to fillet. I'll type R and press enter. I'll type 5. Now I'm going to do this line, followed by this line. Okay. Then I'll work my way around clockwise from there. I'll type R again, 15, enter, and then I'll click this line, followed by this line, and then I'll do it again. Now, you don't have to click fillet each time. If you want to reuse the same tool, you can just press enter, and you see it relaunches the same tool. Then I can type R again, type 5, enter, fillet these lines, and then again enter, R, 10, enter, and I can fillet the final lines. And that's how you use the fillet tool. We will now use the mirror tool, which, as the name suggests, mirrors an object. It mirrors it along a selected mirror line, so a line of symmetry. So, again, I'll select my object, I'll go to mirror, and I'll draw a line of symmetry. So, for example, if I wanted it down here, I would click and draw a straight line. You see it's mirroring around that point, or that line rather. And if I click, it will say, do you want to erase the source objects? It's already selected no by default. So you press enter. That's now mirrored. The next tool we'll cover is the Exploit tool, which we've actually shown a few before. And all it does is separate out a polyline into individual lines. So if I, say for example, selected this object and type explode and then press enter, it separates it out into individual lines, which I can now delete. Okay. So what we can do, we can click on the rectangle tool for exercise 7 and create a rectangle of 50 by 30. Sorry. And then press enter. We can select it and then type explode and then press enter. There's also an icon up here which does the same thing. It's up to you which you use. And that is the final modify tool. So the next thing we'll cover is construction lines. A construction line is used as a reference for creating other objects and extends to infinity in every direction. So to access them, we'll click where it says draw, and the third icon here is construction line. So if I click on the corner here, you see it creates a line, and depending on where I place my mouse, it changes the orientation of the line. So I click and create it, and click again to create another one going horizontally. I have 2 construction lines, and if I zoom out, you can see they go on forever. It doesn't matter how far I zoom in, how far I zoom out, they just extend forever. So after we've done all that, we're going to do exercise 8, and we're going to create this drawing, okay? Now, don't try and draw the shape without reading the instructions, because it's quite a complicated shape, and we have step-by-step instructions, which I'm going to cover now. So, the first thing I'm going to do is create a new drawing. So I click on the plus icon up here. Okay? And then I'm going to create several new layers, 6 new layers, okay? By clicking on Layer Properties. Okay, and then I'll click New Layer, just as we did last week. And I'll type in the name of each layer. So, Main is the first layer, followed by Holes, followed by Construction, followed by Centerline, Dims, and then finally Hatch. We're then going to set the line weight for the main and holes layer to 0.3, so main, line weight, 0.3. Holes, line weight, 0.3. Let's scroll down, and there we go. And the next thing we're going to do is change the line type of the centerline layer to dash dot. Okay, so centerline and line type continuous, I'll click that. And at the moment it's blank, okay, because we actually need to load in the line type we need. So I'll click load, and you see I've got a list of them. If I scroll down, you see I've got a dash dot here. I can click OK, and then select it here as well, and then click OK. That's now set, okay. I'm going to give these different colours. You can give them whatever colours you need, but you can click the colour and change them to whatever you like, okay. So I can then close this window, and then I can select my layer by clicking up here and going to the construction line layer, okay. And I'll go to the draw, drop down here, and I'll select construction lines, and I'm going to draw one vertical line and one horizontal line. Okay, and then I'll press enter. This is going to act as our starting point. You can imagine this is our framework or our scaffolding for our drawing, okay? So from there, we're going to start offsetting. So I'm first going to offset the vertical lines. So I'm going to go to offset, and I'm going to offset left and right by 30. So I'll type 30, press enter, click the vertical line and offset to the left. I'll zoom in a little, click that line again and offset to the right, okay? I'm then going to offset 45, so I'll go to the offset tool again, this time type 45, click the center line again and again on the left, click the center line and on the right, okay? So we've now got all our vertical lines that we need. And after we've got all our vertical lines, we can now do the horizontal ones. So again, offset, and then we're going to offset by 30 first, from this line, and this acts as a top line, and go downwards. Then we'll offset from this line now, 42, and then we'll offset from this line by 30. And we can press enter to exit, and we've now got our construction lines, okay? So this is going to be the scaffolding for our drawing. So I'm now going to change to the holes layer, and select holes, and I'm going to go to the circle tool, and go to center diameter, and you see it snaps to the intersection of these lines, okay? So I'm going to draw a circle of 20 here, and then a circle of 20 here, and then it says that the bottom circles are 16, okay? So here is 16, then I'll draw one, and I'm going to select that and just use the copy tool. So I'll go to copy, select the center and copy it to the locations we need. Now we just need to draw the rectangle, so the easiest way is to use polyline, click here, go 10 across, 84 up, 20 to the left, 84 down, and then type C to close. So what we need to do now is we need to disable or hide the construction line layer by clicking the light bulb, and then change to the center line layer. Center lines are used to show the center of holes, so before you start drawing, just make sure you have quadrant snap enabled, and then we're just going to draw polylines from quadrant to quadrant like this. And there we go. So we're now going to hide the centerline layer, but first we're going to make the main layer active, and then we'll click the light bulb next to centerline. Okay, and then we're going to draw several circles of different radius, or different radii rather. So the first two circles are radius 20, so I'll go to center radius, click the center snap and type 20. I can do the same over here. The next ones are a radius of 15, so again, 15 here. Now you can either copy these or just draw them, it's up to you. Okay, and the final one is from the centre of this rectangle, so again, make sure you have geometric centre on, and it is 74. Okay, we now need to trim this so that we only have the top half up here, okay? So we're going to select trim and press enter, and then we're going to click on these parts of the circle in this order, trim away the excess. And then press enter. So we now need to draw a line from here to here, and also from here to here. Now this is where it gets slightly complicated. So we need to go to Object Snap Settings, click Clear All, and then click Tangent, so we only have Tangent on, and click OK. And we're going to use the Line tool to go between the tangent snaps. So you see it shows here, and then press enter. And we'll draw another line from here to here, and that's that. So now we need to turn on the snap points we turned off. So I'm going to go to Object Snap Settings, and we're going to turn off Tangent, and we're going to turn on Endpoint, Midpoint, Center, Quadrants, Intersection, and click OK. We're then going to draw a polyline between these circles, so I'm going to go to Polyline, click the quadrant here and go across by 15. Okay, now we're not given a height we need to go down, so what we're going to do is we're going to track across from this snap point here. So I'll put my mouse over it, track to the left and click. And then click on the quadrant and then press enter to finish. We're then going to use the fillet tool to fillet these edges by 12. So I'm going to go to fillet, type R, press enter, then 12, enter, and then click first line, then the second, press enter again to use the same tool. We'll click that line and then the second line, and we're done. We're going to turn the construction line layer back on, and then we're going to mirror these lines around it. So we're going to select the lines we made, and then go to mirror, click on the snap point here and draw a line straight down, and then click. When it says do you want to erase source objects, say no. And that's now mirrored. We're now going to re-hide the construction line layer, and we're going to trim away the parts of the circles we don't need until we have something that matches number 16 in the handout. So we're going to go to trim. This is actually easier if you select where you're trimming between. So I'm going to select these two parts, and the top part, and then press enter. And you see I can trim away the bits of the circle I don't need. Okay, and if you cannot trim it, it's probably because one of your dimensions is off, okay? But when you're done, you can just press enter, and we now have the finished object. The next thing we'll do is add hatching, so we're going to go to the hatch layer, and click the hatch tool, which is located up here. Okay, and you see the toolbar changes. We now have a hatch creation. I'm going to select the kind of fill I want, which is ANSI 31. And I'm just going to click in the space that I want. Okay, and when I'm done, I click on the tick, and that hatch is now there. Now we can re-show the center line. Okay, and we can then add our dimensions in a dimension layer. Okay, so select dims, then start adding dimensions. For example, we can add a linear dimension between these 2 points and place our dimension, and I'll leave you to place all your dimensions. So as you can see, I've added all the dimensions. Now what I need to do is add leaders, and leaders are just labels with arrows, okay? So I'll click up here on leader, click where I want to label, and I'll click where I wish to place the text. Okay, and then here I can type in what it says on the handout, so 2 holes, 20 DIA, so 20 diameter, and click the tick. Then I can do the same for the bottom hole, click here, click where I wish to place the text, and type 3 holes, 16 DIA. Okay, and then click the tick. And then we have all our dimensions and all our leader lines. And we now have a complete drawing. So another useful thing to know in AutoCAD is how to use the Properties Dialog. So let's say we select a circle. If I right click and go to Properties, you see it shows me a list of the properties of this circle, okay? And a very useful thing we can do from here is change something such as diameter or radius. So let's say I misdrew it. I could change this to 12 and press enter, and you see the size changes. Okay, so it's very useful. It will show you different properties for different objects, and obviously you can mess around with it for a bit and see, what else it can do. So another useful tool in AutoCAD is the measure tool. So if you go to measure and click the arrow below it, you've got many options. You can measure, for example, distance, and click between two places, just as if you were doing a dimension, and it will tell you the distance, okay? You can also do radius. You see it shows me the radius there. And you can do things such as area and volume as well.